Oh shit, I forgot. Violin recital today. Hey guys, it's the Black Critic Guy, and I'm here today to review the anime Myself, Yourself. So the story of Myself, Yourself follows Sana Hidaka, who returns to his hometown of Sakura no Mori after being away for 5 years. And it's basically following him as he attends high school and reconnects with his childhood friends. That's the basic story. Now, I was recommended to watch this anime a few years back by one of my subscribers, Little Otaku Star, and you all voted for me to watch and review this anime for Drama Month. And I gotta say, this is without a doubt one of the most dullest and forgettable animes I've seen all year. It wasn't engaging, it wasn't interesting, there was nothing really unique about the anime that made me want to stick around and watch it. It became a chore. And whenever something becomes a chore to do, it's not fun anymore. Now, I will give this anime some credit for the few story elements that they presented in the anime that were pretty good. One of them that I really enjoyed is that any episode that focused on this character, Hinako, were my favorite episodes. She was the only character that actually had a personality, had some layers, had an interesting backstory, was very likable, and had a good relationship and connection with our main character, Sana. But not only was her character good, but the episodes featuring her were also good as well. The drama was handled very well, the comedy was actually funny, although they did reuse the same joke twice, which I found very annoying. I mean, you couldn't think of a better joke, or at least done it in a different way. Sana was much more interesting and entertaining as a character in Hinako-centric episodes than he was in the entire anime. And as I mentioned before, he had an interesting dynamic and relationship with Hinako. Another story element that I liked in this anime were the flashbacks to their childhoods that many of the characters would have. I mean, it sets up the relationships that they had previously and makes you feel like they were genuine friends. And honestly, it would have made a much more interesting story yet again to see these young kids kind of bond and do kid stuff. I would have loved to see that, have another Anohana on our hands, but we'll get to that soon. Now, the next one's not a story element, it is a story arc, and quite possibly is my favorite story arc in the entire anime. And that is the story arc featured in episodes 10 and 11. This is what I wanted the anime to be more like. Everything in these two episodes were interesting and engaging, from the characters and their relationships, to the drama and dilemma that the characters face, to the backstories of the characters. Everything in these two episodes were really well done. Now, I will refrain from giving away too much information, but the basic gist of this story arc is it follows the two twins, Shusuke and Shuri, who get accused of doing something and how they plan to handle this terrible situation. I thought most of the elements featured in this story arc were very well done. From the relationship between the twins, which did not go the incest route, they kept it on unconditional love, although it kind of just teetered back and forth sometimes, to the characters featured in the anime. You get a really interesting insight in this one character named Isami, which was actually quite shocking, and you get an understanding and a little backstory of her relationship with Shuri, which was very interesting. Probably the best backstory in the entire anime. To the story. The story was very compelling and very interesting, and the way that it ended was really good. Honestly, if that was the main story of this entire anime, that would have made for a very interesting story. And the last story element that I really liked in this anime was this one backstory about Sana that he tells to Naka that I thought was not only emotional, but the most genuine and realistic element of this entire anime. Because the dilemma and situation that Sana faces in the backstory is something that a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers face on a daily basis. And the thing that he does in the backstory is something that most of these kids do as well. And I just really loved how they portrayed this scene. It was really well done. But that emotional backstory that Sana told Naka that could have led to some good relationship development between the two of them gets ruined literally 5 seconds after he finishes telling the story. Because what happens, instead of staying in that scene and actually seeing Naka kind of comfort Sana or them kind of connecting, it jumps 10 years later. Why? It made no sense to jump 10 years later. Why not actually see this relationship grow from this point on? I mean, he literally opened his heart and soul and told Naka a story that he wasn't really comfortable telling people. That would have made for a good character moment between characters and as solo characters, seeing them grow. But no, they just said, no, let's jump 10 years later. Fuck you. And with that said, let's get to all the problems that I have with this anime. And by God, I had a lot of problems with this fucking anime. First off, the animation in this anime is lazy, cheap, and dull. From the character designs to the backgrounds. The dimmed down color palette that they use to make it seem more dramatic does not work in the anime's advantage. It works against the anime, making it really unengaging, unstimulating, and uninteresting. Whereas other anime dramas such as Clanad knew when to use dimmed down color palettes to set the mood of a scene, this one had no freaking clue what it was doing because it didn't know when to use bright colors and it didn't know when to use dim colors. Not only that, but this anime uses a lot of recycled animation and limited animation. The two worst things you could possibly do in an anime on the animation side. All in all, the animation was terrible. Most of the drama in this anime is hokey and uninteresting. Most of the time I was just never invested in any of the characters' dilemmas, in any of the characters' stories. The only time I was really invested in a story, as I mentioned before, is the story arc dealing with the twins, and any time we see Hinako. That was the only time I really was into the story. Other than that, didn't give a shit. But the drama wasn't the worst part of the story, it was the comedy. So lackluster and painful to watch. All their attempts at humor were weak, lazy, and just downright terrible. Even sometimes using the same jokes again, thinking that it would be funny a second time, but it's not. But probably its worst offense, it was unfunny. All the jokes were unfunny. Besides its lackluster story, its second biggest issue is its characters. All of them besides one, Hinako, are all bland and forgettable. Our main character of Sana is so uninteresting as a main character. There's nothing fascinating about him besides that one backstory that he told at the end of the anime. Other than that, I don't remember much about him and he doesn't really stand out. Even worse is his main love interest in the anime, Naka. This girl is as boring and bland as a cardboard box. There is nothing interesting about her. I didn't even care about her backstory, which is a bit tragic, but honestly, again, didn't care about it. But probably my most hated character in this entire anime was Aioi-chan. She is without a doubt one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in an anime, and her voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Every time I heard her, I was just like, oh, my ears, my ears. I just really didn't like her character. She wasn't interesting, she wasn't well developed, she wasn't funny, she was just downright annoying. As much as I did like the twins' story arc, and they did get some good development in that story arc, before that, their characters were just bland, forgettable, and weak as characters. And there was even this one point in the anime where one of them was referred to as the unlucky one, and the other one was referred to as the lucky one by their teacher. It would have been very interesting to see why they were called that, and actually would have built some character for them, but it's never explored again. All the side characters, and I mean all the side characters, were one-dimensional. They're either really nice or they're really mean. The really mean ones were probably the worst because they were the most cliche, and all of them had no redeeming quality to them. They were just dicks. Especially the principal and the father of the twins. Man, those guys were assholes. I didn't like them at all. But not only are the characters weak, dull, and poorly developed, but the relationships between characters were just as weak, just as dull, and just as poorly developed as the characters. I never felt a strong bond between Sana and Naka, not once in the entire anime. And they had many opportunities to build a strong bond between them, but they never used it. And thus, I never really cared about their relationship. There's only 2 decent relationships in this entire anime, and both of which aren't really that prevalent throughout the entire anime, and I've mentioned them before. The first one is Sana and Hinako. I like their relationship. I did feel a connection between them. And the second one is between the 2 twins, Shusuke and Shuri. I did feel a bond with them, but it didn't happen until episode 10 did I really feel a bond between them. Other than that, their relationship started off very weak. And the last thing that I absolutely hated in this anime was its ending. What a spit in the face! I mentioned this earlier about how Sana was opening up to Naka, and they could have used this moment to build some strong character bond between them, but instead they decide to jump 10 years later. I just don't see the point. They ruined that entire moment right there. They ruined the possibility of building a connection with these characters. And not only that, there is no resolution to any of the characters and any of the relationships in this anime by the end. It was just a spit in the face. I already didn't care about the characters. The ending just made me feel like I wasted my time. Overall, although I did like some of the story elements in this anime, the payoff is just not worth sitting through crap after crap after crap of the weakest characters, the weakest story, and the dullest animation to get to one decent episode in the anime. It's just not worth the effort. Myself, Yourself is probably one of the worst anime dramas I have ever seen. And that's why I'm gonna give this anime a 1 out of 5 stars. It is truly an unnecessary waste of time. There are much better anime dramas out there worth your time. Skip this shit. But anyway, what did you guys think about this anime? Did you like it? Are there Myself, Yourself fans out there? Or did you hate it as much as I did and you want to forget about it entirely? And let me know, what is the worst anime drama you've ever seen? Comment below and let me know. And honestly, I got nothing more to say. I just want to end this video. I want to stop talking about this goddamn fucking anime. So, hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Welcome to the Black Critic Guy. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. And I'm Tony Watt II, the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.